So, just as I'm about to fire up the sawmill, you saw me run that extension cord. And what I've done is I actually power lights inside the saw shed. And I do that with these. And you've probably seen one of these on the channel before. This is a new one that I've got from Bluetti. As you can see, that's the Elite 200. The 2600 watt unit, a little bit smaller than some of the other units, but it packs the same punch. And that's one of the things I like about it. If you're not familiar with those types of power sources, one thing that's nice about it, it's not a constantly running gas generator, and gas generators certainly have their place. I use one from time to time, but I like those things when I'm out here and I don't necessarily want to have a second engine running. And other uses I use for that is if I'm going out in the woods and let's say I need to grind something. I don't know, maybe I have to cut something. I take my reciprocating saw, my circular saw, my drill, whatever the case may be. I take a little Bluetti, that one there, and then I have power, and I just leave that thing right on the back of the ATV. Sometimes I'll just put it in the bucket, and sometimes right on the golf cart, and I can get the power I need, and then I take it back and charge it up. Now, this unit's going to be living out here, and so are the other ones. These ones, by the way, these are extra power that you can hook into some of the other Bluetti power sources. Seen this one back here before on the channel, the AC 200 Max. So I'll take these additional power packs, hook into there, and that just expands the amount of power that I can generate. This one here that I'm using today, I'll actually keep that charged up with these things back here. And I'm not going to pull them out today because obviously the sun's setting and, well, I don't really need a solar panel when the sun's not out. But this is a solar panel. I've got two of them. And they'll sit out here essentially and they'll plug into that and it'll act as a charge. So as I'm using power here for the sawmill, the lights that is, and draining that thing, tomorrow when the sun's out, I'll have the solar panels out and that'll bring that thing back up to charge. So that's what I'm using here. And I like this thing because it's got DC as well as AC. And my lights are AC. But depending on where you are, you know, you might need that DC. And so there's AC. You see I got my 4 outlets, 20 amp here. Okay, so I'm going to go plug that in addition to that. Maybe a little hard to see, but there's my DC input. So what I'm going to do tomorrow when I'm hooking these up, I'll run that right into there. And then likewise, if you need the 12 volt power, there's the outlet there. So that's that thing. A few other things, and it might be hard to see, but you see down here the USB-C, so that'll be my cell phone charger. And then I've got the typical USB-A, which some of the older USB devices hook up to, so keep things going that way. Let's head over here back to the saw shed, and I'll just see how I'll show you how these lights allow me to keep the sawing going all night, that's for sure. So here it is plugged in here. There's before. Wow. There's after. As you can tell, it certainly keeps you going. And the lights, you can check out one of my previous videos where I installed these. I really like them. There she goes. Well, there we have it, folks. I'd say that was a success. The sawdust is building up on the sawmill. It's still nice and shiny, which tells you it's still pretty much brand new. I got a lot to learn, that's for sure. Coming from a manual mill to a fully hydraulic sawmill, there are things I am still learning every single time I'm out here. And that's one of the reasons you see me going slow. A sawmill like this, or any sawmill for that matter, can certainly injure a person. And so I got to make sure I know exactly what I'm doing at all times. And that's why you may see me taking an extra look here and there. Not to mention, that 2-inch blade there would probably take a good dent out of this, or even this. So I got to make sure I know exactly what I'm doing at all times. And I'm finding the lasers are quite nice. They're giving me that quick glance down both sides. And for those of you who are interested, when the laser's on, I'm pretty much moving my head to there. And that allows me to see down both sides of the log. And I think one of the reasons I don't have to go way over here is because the log's being clamped on this side, on this edge of the sawmill. So I'm finding that's quite nice. I think if this log was clamped over there, I would have quite the look to see the log clamps on the far side, but that's not the case in this situation. Now, something I'm finding that's quite different than what I'm used to is loading a log, walking back there and staying there. I'm getting back there and I'm getting a bit anxious. I keep thinking I have to walk up here for something. And then I quickly realize that, well, no, there's absolutely no reason for me to walk up here. I have drag back fingers on the sawmill. I can rotate, clamp, and, well, stabilize everything I need to right here with the hydraulics. So no reason to come up here. I'll have to get used to that. Likewise, I got to get used to edging. I am not entirely sure yet how I edge, and I think I had an idea, but it was too late. I like the feature of drawback or drag back, and so I tend to drag everything back to the station back there. But what I should have probably done when I was making those stickers, after cutting my pieces, instead of dragging them back, just leave them stacked up, and then I could use the log turner, rotate them on edge right here, clamp them, and then I could go through and cut their finished dimension. That's something I thought about after, and that comes down to inexperience. And so that'll be something that I gotta work on. So if you're out there and you have a sawmill like this, which pretty much has a command center, you're not walking with the cutting head, let me know if you have any tips or tricks on how you edge boards. If you do what I was just mentioning, where you use the log turner, what do you do? Let me know down below in the comments. Now back up here, you can see the lumber. And it's kind of nice how you can set it here. And keep in mind, these are 12.5 feet, so they're pretty long. They sit up there nicely. I'm liking the rollers as well. That's allowing me to move things without much hassle. My stickers on the side. In my case, if I had the proper setup, which I plan on having, I would just walk these right back off into the little area that's going to catch it, and then continue on my way. So I think that's going to do it for me here today. I'm going to let all of you head off, grab your sludge, put your feet up, just like I'm going to do in a little bit. I think I'm going to take care of these 2 little logs, put this thing to bed, and then, as I said, I'm heading to put the old feet up. I'll be back out here tomorrow, continuing on and dreaming of warmer weather. I got a lot coming up, and I hope you join me for that. As always, if you did like this video, don't forget to give it the old like-a-roo. Don't forget to subscribe as well if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.